Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how you can pluck your wigs and make it look so natural. The wig that I'm using today is a 24-inch brown frontal unit from Shein. It was only like around £100. Let's get our stuff that we need. Need a rat tail comb, need a tweezer, of course, any wide tooth comb, spray bottle half filled with water. The wig head, I know mine is a bit messy. She's been through a lot. This is the wig head of a wig head that works hard, okay? You need 4 wig head pins and the hair tie. Can you imagine you start styling the wig and the whole thing just slips off? That's what we don't want. So that's why I'm putting the pins in. So I put 1 pin in the middle where the parting is and then 1 on each side, and be very careful not to push it all the way down. I know it can be tempting because you want it to be really secure, but when you push the pin all the way down, when it comes to removing it, it's going to get hooked onto the hair and it's going to cause a hole in the lace, and that's what we don't want. Okay, let's take care now. Lace is delicate, she's fragile, okay? So pull the side of the wig down to create some tension and then press the pin in and leave like a millimeter gap. You can also put 1 pin at the back for extra security. Using the rat tail comb, we're going to comb all of the hairs backwards so that everything is nice and smooth. You want to make sure you're going right to the edge of the frontal because that's the most important area. That's the place that we're going to be plucking. And then we're going to spray some water on the frontal because this makes it much easier to pluck. And then I'm going to take the rat tail comb again and comb everything backwards, get everything nice and smooth. As you can see, I plucked the edges a little bit, but the top area not so much. Let's do this. We're going to be working in sections. So I've divided the hair into a middle part, but then I'm going to take one side of the middle part and divide that into 2. And that will create your first section. Using your hair tie, tie the other section just to make sure it's nice and out of the way. Doesn't have to be too tight, but as long as it's secure. Go ahead and just put another pin here just to make it extra secure. And then we're gonna start weaving almost as if we're sewing. So I'm gonna go underneath a little tiny section, the smaller the better, and then over the next bit. Underneath, over, underneath, over, underneath, over. And I'm holding it down with my hand to stay controlled. Underneath, over, underneath, over. Picking up tiny little hairs, underneath, over, underneath, over, underneath, over. It doesn't matter if it gets like a little bit disorganized. The reason why you do that is because when you pluck, you don't want there to be any bold spots or gaps, and if you just cut a straight line and start plucking, there's going to be bold spots. Whereas if we weave it like this, by the time you pluck it, it's going to look more natural. It's not going to look gappy because these hairs are now going to cover the ones that the row that you plucked. You'll see. To make sure you have an angled tweezer like this. Going backwards, we're going to start grabbing strands and plucking them out. And I forgot to mention this, but don't pluck near where your parting line is. Ideally section the hair next to your parting and tie it away so it's out of the way. And I combed that section out, and that is all of the strands of hair that you've just plucked. I'm gonna do the same thing again, weaving up, down, up, under the next, over that bit, under the next section, over that bit, under the next section, over that bit, under the next section, over, under. Then drag those hairs down and comb back your new section. Too close like this is going to be harder, but you want to hold it far further away so then it has more room to move. If you take your hand like this, bend your last 3 fingers in, place it in between your middle finger and your thumb, and then your index finger just goes on top like that. And easily maneuver up, down, up, down. And the thing is, the more you do it, the quicker you'll become. If I can do this, you can do this too. I'm not a professional hairdresser. I just learned from videos the same way you're watching videos now. You have to also make sure that you're actually plucking, because you see here, if I just go like this, I'm doing the action, but I'm not putting enough pressure to actually pluck. And that's why when I comb this out now, you're gonna see nothing, like 1 strand. So you have to make sure you're actually putting pressure and pressing so that it can actually pluck. Then under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, over. We have our next section to pluck, which will be this ½ centimeter bit here. And it's important that you hold your tweezers very close to the ends, because that's how you get more pressure to actually pluck the hairs out, compared to if you hold it further apart, it will be much more difficult. Comb it out. As you can see there's the hairs that we plucked. You can see I've got a middle parting going down here. When you're plucking, try not to pluck too close to that middle parting section. What we actually should have done is taken a line next to the middle part and just put it on that side, just so that we know not to touch these hairs here, because then you don't want to part your hair down the middle and then it's all plucked and stuff. I'm gonna do one more layer. So apparently, if you subscribe to me, your wig comes out perfectly every single time you wear it and just always behaves and looks immaculate. But anyways, take it up to the very end and drag it down. In the back, the flat bit of the tweezer needs to be facing down onto the wig head. And I'm telling you, you need patience to do this. The process is long and tiring, but the results are so good. If we look at these hairs that we put down and comb them back, you'll see that the hairline is now looking a lot more natural. The frontal hairline is not as thick as how it used to be. So let's go back to where we stopped. And if you're wondering, wait, but how do I find where I stopped? You literally just want to take the comb along into where it starts to get thick. And I'm just going to do the same thing again. I would say once you've done this 3 times, you'll get into like about 2 inches back from the frontal. If you have a ready-made / machine-made wig like I have, the sides don't go as far back as the middle, so it's usually quicker to do the sides because you don't have to do the layers as many times. You should be fine with just doing 2 lines. Now to bleach the knots, we're going to use 20% volume cream peroxide. I got this from Pikes. It was literally £2 for a massive bottle like this. Obviously you need your mixing bowl, one of these brushes, and I've got literally bleaching powder, blue. So you want to pour half of the cream peroxide / developer to fill half of the container. Say that your measurement should be 1 to 1, so that basically means equal parts. So now I'm going to pour like half the bowl full of the bleaching powder as well. If you're smart and don't want to make a mess, please do this over the sink or on a table that has an old towel on it or something. So this is the texture it should be. It should be this sort of thick consistency. If it's too runny, just add some more powder. And that leads us on to the next step of applying it to the lace. If it's too runny, it's going to easily go through the lace. Like, we have to remember that the lace is literally holes. There's holes all over it, okay? So you have to be careful. We're only trying to bleach the knots. This isn't a how to get orange roots video, okay? However, I do hold my hands up and say that I took too long in the application process, and this ate into the time that is actually bleaching the knots. So I would say make this process as quick as possible. You want the application process to be super fast. I'd say leaving it on for 5 minutes should be enough. I decided to go and have lunch because I was so tired. Don't make that same mistake I did, because I ended up leaving it on for a bit too long. If you've left it and you're ready to wash it out, well done, you're doing great. I know it's so tiring, but we're almost there. Try and wash the wig in a way that doesn't get the whole wig wet by keeping most of the hair on the edge of the sink. This means less work for you and will also dry quicker too. Look at her, isn't she beautiful? That's after it's all been washed out. Doesn't the hairline just look so much better and more natural? Now it's time to style and install the wig, which is the best part. Let's do that together in this video over here. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this was useful, and I'll see you there.